Hi, Dina here, littlewidow.com, the Little Widow on Twitter, Littlest Widow on Instagram. We have a pretty serious question tonight. It's been stressing me out a little bit, not gonna lie. It's kind of a major one. The question is coming from someone who has been trying to unsuccessfully get pregnant for about 4 years now. So what we want to know tonight is if this is the year where we can expect a successful pregnancy. Successful being one of the operative words there. Basically, I'm a little anxious about it because it's a really big deal for her. It's one of those things that she's just always wanted. Her chart looks great, I will say that. She's a Sagittarius. Jupiter just moved into Sagittarius. It was just on that full moon that we just had was exactly opposite her sun and midheaven conjunction. So the moon was on her 4th house cusp of home and family. The ruler of her 5th house is Mercury. Jupiter will also be conjunct that in a couple months. If you use any of that rulership, I have mixed feelings, honestly, about using the 5th house for children. I know that is what is traditionally done. It freaks people out when they have an empty 5th house and they want babies. It really shouldn't. I will say, like, my best friend has an empty 5th house and she has 2 beautiful babies. I tend to think that planets in houses has more to do with where your focus lies almost than anything else. Sometimes I look at it as though, like, if you sat down on your deathbed and kind of looked at where you spent your time, or where your greatest focus was really placed, where the truest expression of certain things came out, what houses would those be in? And for some people, they can have children that they can love very much and they can be great parents, but ultimately when they look back at things, that's not where they're going to see that they spent their time. She's a really full 10th house and she has a really active career. So it doesn't bother me at all that her 5th house is empty. And if we're being quite frank, I have mixed feelings about that anyway. Like, the people I know with the most loaded 5th houses spend like no time with their children. If anything, they like pleasure, they're a little bit reckless, and they like dogs. I mean, kids are a lot of work. I don't know that I equate them with the fun of the 5th house anymore. Maybe it's time we give them a different house anyway. But if we want to stick with that association, the ruler of her 5th house is also in really good shape this year. It just looks like a very positive year for her. So I'm optimistic. That said, because this is such a major kind of thing, I do want to say, just before I put the cards down, that sometimes when we do a reading, if we get an outcome that is ambiguous, or that seems a little negative, or like something isn't happening in the time frame that we want it to, doesn't necessarily mean it's not going to happen. It might just mean that for whatever reason, we're not supposed to know that it's going to happen. The reason that would be, because I've been thinking about this all day, because I've been stressing about this. I have a friend who, he loves to say that we're not given anything that we can't handle. There are days that I, totally feel that, and then there are days where I'm like, this is more than I can handle. But I know that he's right, I think truth is like that too. I think knowledge is like that too. I think that, I did a chat yesterday about astrology, and I likened our, astrological chart to the story of our life that, kind of evolves. So we're all on our own little hero's journey here, right? We're all on our little quest. So let's say that, you're supposed to be a certain person. You're supposed to learn certain lessons. You're supposed to develop and grow in a certain way in order to reach your full potential. She is a very different person than she would have been if she got pregnant right away 4 years ago. Or if she went to a psychic 4 years ago who told her, don't stress about it, don't worry about it, don't bother doing anything, 4 or 5 years from now you're gonna get pregnant, but not until then. Maybe she wouldn't have done any of the things that she did in the past 4 or 5 years that made her who she was. I also think that even if we hear something, if we're not ready for it, or if it would impede our little journey in one way or the other, we won't let it in. We won't accept this new knowledge. We won't accept these facts. You know, it's like when someone shows up at your, shows up in your life and tries to help you. Sometimes we try to get rid of them. You know, I mean, we're like, I don't want this. This is not, no. You know, and like personally, I found some like astrology and tarot stuff that I did probably like a year and a half ago. And I did all, I saw these transits coming up and all these things in my progress chart for the period of time that's starting like right now. Really, I wrote all this stuff down that like December, January, February, right now, was gonna be super pivotal. It was stuff that if I was doing a reading for someone else, I would have said, you're gonna meet somebody. Like there's gonna be some kind of like relationship that's gonna knock your socks off. I even see like a new kind of career. Like I see like a total restart. I see you being happy and restarting. And the tarot cards totally backs that up. But I was in such a weird negative place, having, just lost my husband a couple months earlier, that when I saw that, I was like, well, this must mean I'm gonna die. Because clearly that's the only way I could have a fresh start. Clearly. Now, I mean, I am in such a different place. I'm in such a different place that I see that and I'm like, oh, that's awesome. I can totally feel that that's what's gonna happen. But at the time, I was not willing to accept that. I could not accept that. And to be quite frank, had I accepted that, I don't know that I would have done any of the things that I did the past year and a half since then. Maybe I would have just rested on my laurels. Maybe I would have just coasted, wallowed a little bit and just waited for things to get better. And had I done that, I wouldn't have started writing again. I wouldn't have done all the inner work that I did. I wouldn't have started tarot again or gotten back into spirituality or any of the things, Reiki, all my silly crystals that I bought, all these things that I did this year that make me feel like me again. For the first time in probably like, I don't even know, more than a decade, I would say, I feel like me. And I would have done none of that probably if I believed and let that in, that it was gonna be okay. I probably would have just stayed in a bottle and waited for it to be okay. I don't know. So, I'm just saying that as a precursor in case we don't like what we get here. I think that, we do what we can when we can, and we can always see the reasons for things when it's over. Sometimes when we're in the middle of that holding pattern or that waiting period, we're just frustrated the whole time and we get discouraged and we get sad. So just saying that, just in case. It's my little, my warning on the bottle. All right. So we want to see, if this is the time. The cards are ready. I totally feel them. All right. First card is the Five of Wands. We are using the Alchemical Tarot from Robert Place. I love this deck. It does use all of the, kind of alchemical representations of the cards. So they're a little bit different than, in some cases, than the traditional meanings. But the Five of Wands here, I think definitely showing that it's been a struggle, some conflict there. It's working in the environment of the Ten of Swords. Everybody's favorite card. That poor bastard with the 10 swords in him. I think that's just kind of saying, like, this is done. We're so done with this. She's frustrated. She's discouraged. Maybe a little depressed even. We're finished with this. Okay? We're done with this. No more of this. The Queen of Swords is what is the crossing card. The foundation of the matter is the Knight of Coins. That actually is a card that I sometimes do relate to fertility a little bit. But I mean, right now we're just talking about like where we are. So, obviously that's on our mind. Behind us is the King of Vessels. Cups. Above us is the Chariot. We are moving towards the world. That is perfect. I love this representation of the card. I will pick it back up. she is being represented by the Seven of Swords. Interesting. The Hierophant. The Page of Pentacles. Even more of a little baby card, I would say. And the outcome is the Ten of Cups. Perfect. Love this. 10 of Vessels in this deck. Okay. I find this to be very positive reading. Here's a great example, actually, of something that we've been talking about recently. In the readings we got the other day for someone else who was coming from a place where it was a troubled relationship, you know, and she's thinking of leaving. And a lot of her questions, you know, we got a lot of 10s. 10s are the end of a cycle. They're so much the culmination of the suit that it's literally like the second before it restarts in the ace. This is finished. You know, and so there's different ways to look at that. They're also really just the culmination sometimes. They're fulfillment. They can also be showing that you're getting everything that you want. In a question like this, where we're in a settled relationship, we love each other, we're happy, all we want is a baby, this is a beautiful reading. There is nothing negative here. Both of these cards are the culmination. So the crowning card here is the Chariot. We talked about that card the other day. I always take the crowning card as I almost think of it as your crown chakra sometimes. Like it's kind of like, it's right at the top of the deck. It sort of relates to that, you know, its energy overarches the whole reading. I almost sometimes think about it, it's like how you're channeling things. This is a card of dominion. This is a card of I'm gonna get my way, come hell or high water. That energy is over this whole thing. There are only positive things here, other than the Ten of Swords, which is kind of the environment that she's in right now. That's a difficult card. Sometimes it could represent acupuncture, and she does like acupuncture, but I'm not gonna say that that's what it is. I think it's just her being discouraged and feeling like I'm so stinking done with this. Like I can't effing take this anymore. You know, swords are thoughts. So, you know, by the time we get to the Ten of Swords, we've been through the ringer. We're dead. We're dead on the ground. We have all these damn swords in us. We were probably dead after the first sword, but then we put 9 more freaking swords in there. It's over. Like this whole mental obsession needs to end. But we're still hanging out in there a little bit. Another card representing her is the Seven of Swords. So the Chariot is numbered 7 as well. So we're getting 2 sevens. 7s can be spiritual. They are, like, if you ever read any of the like Kabbalistic interpretations of the cards, the 7s are the first number really that sort of makes its physical presence known a little bit. So this deck, like I said, some of his representations are a little different. This has a much less negative connotation in this deck than in some others. I mean, it usually means I'm gonna get my way, again, no matter what, even if I have to resort to trickery. Sometimes it can be deception or something like that, but a lot of times it can just be like, whatever it takes, this is what I want and I'm gonna get it, and I'll figure out a way to get it. This literally shows a sly fox. So, you know, whatever needs to happen, I think she's gonna figure it out. Our 2 outcome cards really are the World and the Ten of Cups. So, I mean, again, they're showing the complete culmination of everything. This beautiful World card, this has all of the trumps in it. This is everything. This is the final card in the entire major arcana. And as such, it's the completion of the major arcana. Every major arcana card can be represented in this World card. Especially in this deck, it is seen as fulfillment and completion. All 4 elements are around her. You know, she has the symbol, can't think of what that's called. It's, you know, it's like health, which actually shows up in the 2 of Cups in this deck as well, which is, what is that called? Meh, it's bothering me. Anyway. It's just a really beautiful card. It's a card of fulfillment, and I read it as very positive. Sometimes I read it as like, oh, this is over. But I mean, we're not asking anything that could be the connotation. to me, this means you're gonna get what you want. You're gonna have your baby. You're gonna be pregnant. And then the outcome is the 10 of Cups as well. I mean, they're already married, they're already established, you know, they're already a happy couple. This is just what they want. And so to me, again, the 10 of Cups is the fulfillment of the suit. It's the whole enchilada. It really is. The cups are love, the cups are emotion. And this is emotional contentment. This is I'm getting what I want. And then we do, like, the fact that we do have both and they call it the lady, but the page and the knight of pentacles, both cards can represent fertility and younger people. I definitely think this is a positive reading, and yeah, I feel really, really good about this. So I don't think there's anything to be worried about here. I don't see an indication of time particularly, but the fact that the world came up in our near future makes me think that it's not going to be all the way, you know, towards the end of the year. To me, I'm looking at this as though the world and the 10 of Cups are sort of playing off of each other in terms of just this feeling of fulfillment where we're going to get what we want. There's really, other than our current environment that we're working in now, I don't see a single negative thing here. So I feel really good about this. Good reading tonight. So I am happy that we have some good news. All right. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me and I will do your reading tomorrow. That could happen. It really could. Like, it's totally possible. My email's on the website. Yep. All right. Good night.